What's up, everybody? Welcome to the POVincent podcast here on the River's Edge Online Radio Network. I am your host, Vincent Tidiano, giving you my point of view on movies. Hey, everybody. So thank you for joining us tonight. With me, of course, is the siren of the soundboard, my kick-ass co-host, Sarany Wellsby.
What up? Technical difficulties, sorry, y'all.
No, it's all right, everybody. We just had a little hiccup there for those of you watching on the live stream. But for those of you watching on YouTube, Facebook, or the River's Edge SoundCloud page, yeah, I just had a little problem myself. Thank you for tuning in. With us tonight is good friend, special guest, returning special guest, comedian Krish Mohan. Krish, thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
I know. Oh my God!
It's quite the show.
I know. It's been a while since.
I like that you have a very it's a cool nickname. Siren of the Soundboard. Siren. Yeah. Did you come up with? Yeah.
Well,
you're fucking great at that stuff, man.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Like, when Eric was the co-host, I had my little thing for him, too. And I needed to come up. My buddy, my pal, my comedic comrade, the human megahorn, Eric Williams.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My nickname for him, I call him White Claw.
Oh, him?
These beautiful fingernails.
Yeah.
Oh, let me see your fingers.
Sarany likes to point out, apparently, I have unusually nice fingers.
They are very nice. They're very well manicured.
Look at this.
Like they
I
are.
always come here with dirty hands.
I have henna on my hands, but that's nice.
Well, thank you.
He does nothing to them. That's just natural for him.
You lucky bastard.
Yeah, apparently I missed my calling as a hand model. I don't know.
I know. It's what.
All right.
I call him White Claw.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right.
Somebody call Hugo Boss.
Yeah.
No, they don't call that company.
All right. Well, anyway, before we get into things, I see joining us tonight on the live stream is Slacktabulous. Thank you again for joining us tonight, man. I hope you enjoy it. From what I've seen in the comments we've been exchanging right before we started the show, you're excited for the nerdy subjects we'll be discussing tonight. And we'll go over really quickly before we go into them. Tonight we're going to be talking about the announcement of the new Superman show on the CW network. We're going to be talking about problems that have just appeared in the Star Wars franchise as it lost two big people who are going to make some movies. And finally, we will give our movie review of Terminator Dark Fate. Yeah. What is this number? It's number 6, right?
God, I've lost track.
Yeah, so Terminator 6, for those of you who can't remember the titles, just to keep it simple.
You can't even remember the titles, it sounds like.
No, Terminator, you got so the first one was...
He does remember him.
Oh, and now we're going to run down. So the first one was The Terminator, which is the only one that has "the" at the beginning of it. The Terminator, then you had Terminator 2, Judgment Day, then Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines, then Terminator Salvation, then Terminator Genesis was the last one, and now we have Terminator Dark Fate.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so that is 6.
Yeah.
That is 6.
How dare you challenge me? How dare you?
I know.
Has everybody written their apologies to Christian Bale this year? Because after watching anybody that went to the theaters and watched Terminator Salvation just owes Christian Bale an apology because he yelled so much. He was so angry in that movie, and so angry that I feel like everybody had wronged him. Like all the people that paid money to go watch his movie, we were just like, "I'm so sorry, I'm here." Like, I'm so sorry I ruined this for you.
Let's just tweet him instead.
No.
No, we have to. Yeah, that's part of the contract.
Yeah, I want to. Yeah, his new movie with Matt Damon, Ford versus Ferrari, is coming out, and I don't need shit coming down on me before that.
Yeah, we don't need him to be angry about something else. You know,
Christian Bale, great actor, got a problem or two. Or two.
3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah. I have to watch his movies, so I'm not gonna act like I'm higher than thee or whatever. But okay, so we are gonna get into our first topic of discussion tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Superman is getting his own TV show. Hallelujah, hallelujah, or maybe. We'll talk. According to an article on Variety.com, the potential series would follow the world's famous superhero and comic books' most famous journalists as they deal with all the stress, pressures, and complexities that come with being working parents in today's society. So for those of you who do not follow the CW superhero shows, also known by fans as the Arrowverse, because its first show that started it off was Arrow, a.k.a. the Green Arrow, At the beginning of season 2 of the Supergirl television series, they finally introduced the Man of Steel, Superman, aka Clark Kent, played by actor Tyler Hoechlin. And I've said before in the show many times, I actually really enjoy Tyler Hoechlin. I think he performs the character very well. I will also give him and to give Henry Cavill some slack, because I know some people will like to bring up, they like to compare Supermans. Henry Cavill had the disadvantage of they didn't write his Superman as Superman in the DCU films. If there's any DCU lovers out there,
write him as?
they wrote him as if they took Superman and then they mixed in some Dr. Manhattan. Because,
because he has a weird god complex and a blue penis?
Yes, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a deleted scene from Batman v Superman.
It's that one time where Superman flies out to save the day, but he doesn't have pants on.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that... Yeah.
Oh,
what a dark movie in so many ways.
Yes, yeah. Because here's the thing about Zack. I always say we're not going to get into this show. Zack Snyder.
Talk about it without breaking out.
Zack Snyder is like a Watchmen fanboy, and here's the thing: Watchmen is one of the most famous graphic novels ever made by Alan Moore, and credit to it. It's made its mark on literature and the comic book industry, and that's fine. If you love Watchmen, that's great.
I love Watchmen.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the movie. It has problems, but overall, I like it.
Anybody watching the series that just came out on HBO?
I don't have HBO, so I can't watch
I
it.
meant to give you my password. So you
I
can
gotta
watch
get
it.
some people.
She's such a good host. She's going to give me her HBO.
Yeah.
It's like, that's even higher than giving someone your Netflix. That's amazing.
That is a big deal. That is a big deal. That's a big step in a friendship.
But here's the problem. Zack Snyder is the kind of fanboy where he thinks everything should be Watchmen or The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight Returns, another famous graphic novel that involved Batman.
Which is not canon.
Yeah.
It's like not the canon version.
And once again, if you like the stories, hey, it's The Dark Knight Returns and Watchmen. I'm not going to fucking debate anybody on loving that material, but it's just like he tried to apply that to these new movies, and people are like, that's not how the characters normally act. Like, you can pull off the dark shit with Batman because he's the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And there's other DC characters you can try that with, who dip into like the somewhat darker stuff. But you can't do that with Superman, and you can't do that with the Flash, even though they made the Flash a funny character in Justice League, despite the fact that he didn't really fit in that world.
Or really do anything. Like, he was, like, everybody was so underutilized. Anyway.
Yeah, we should probably get back. See, this is what happens.
I like Tyler Hoechlin.
Hoechlin. Yeah,
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yeah, so, because I really don't know your actual views on it. So what are they?
One of the things I like about him is that he's got a real chin.
Yes. He's got that Superman chin.
And it's like I'm looking at this photo of him, and it's just like, wow, I can't believe they make jawlines like in nature that. Like that's just a real jawline.
Are we sure that's it?
No, that's
not cosmetically altered.
No,
because I think
Anyway.
we've seen what happens when you try to like formulate a chin.
Yeah.
I've seen some
and
pretty
it's bad.
good chin implants. That looks like
Really?
it could be a good one.
Wait, there are chin implants? That's crazy.
Oh yeah, I've actually
That's
had a
crazy to me.
consultation for one.
Oh,
I
what?
wanted one really bad to like cover up this little turkey neck thing. It's like something
No,
you do
that's
if you have an
ridiculous.
ugly neck. You get a chin implant to like kind of hide it.
What?
But I wasn't a good candidate for it. This guy, that's a chin implant. I'm sorry.
No, I mean,
man.
I feel
But
like
it's still like a real chin. Like no
No.
one
It
tried to
looks
CGI
natural.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Like
natural.
no one computer generated a chin for him. But I will say that aside from the animated series, who I think that was like George Newbern and Tim Daly were the two people. that played him.
definitely Tim. I always forget the other guy.
Yeah, this guy is like the most Superman that's out there.
Yeah.
Like he's
Yeah.
kind of goofy
Very
and
super.
lighthearted,
Yeah.
and like he's like, no, I can pretty much decimate anybody on this planet, but I can't because I am Superman and I have to keep myself in check, and everybody is made out of like sawdust
Yeah.
to me. Like, so.
Heckler's done a great job. I've had aired my misgivings on how they've used Superman sometimes in the Arrowverse on Supergirl, because sometimes it looks like they use Superman to raise up Supergirl at times. And I hate to say that because I like Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl. I like the way she's performed a character. She was a little iffy in season 1, but I think she's really owned a character in the past.
She's gotten into it.
Yeah. So I hate to say that against her because she doesn't need it. The fan base behind but the fan base behind Supergirl is large, and a lot of it has a lot to do with Melissa Benoist. People have fallen in love with this actress. They love her as Supergirl, and I don't understand the reason why you would need Superman to hoist. She's doing great.
She's doing a great job.
Yeah. They just started her 5th season of Supergirl. She just got a new suit, a new shiny super suit.
Made out of the bleeding edge armor that Tony Stark created, apparently.
Oh yeah, they definitely stole that. Because they kind of set that up last season because he had that one like kryptonite-proof suit that just kind of gelled over her.
Yeah.
So like they kind of set it up, but it's like the reason why she got a new suit because she got some holes in her cape this season, and they just couldn't make her a new fucking cape.
Which is like,
Spoilers.
wait a minute,
Yeah.
the cape is not what helps you fly.
Yeah.
Like you're Supergirl.
Yeah, you can just do that.
Some of the stuff that they do in the Supergirl show is bizarre, and I feel like the way they kind of. Because there was a point in season 2 of Supergirl where they were using him a bunch. And it was like,
he was in
was
the first
cool.
couple episodes at season 2 to finally introduce him because they got the go-ahead from Warner Brothers because,
and he was great.
Yeah.
He was so much fun.
Yeah.
And, like, I really like the way that they brought him in. And every time he pops on screen, like, I'm like, this guy is awesome. You know, like, he really plays Clark Kent really well. Like, he plays Superman really well. He kind of reminds me of like a better version of Dean Cain, although I might have a little bit of like nostalgia because that's like the big Superman show that I watched when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, Adventures of Lois and Clark. I watched it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this seems, I'm glad he's getting a show, and I hope they do. I do hope they do Superboy in this.
Maybe, I don't know. I will. Another thing I want to add before we get further on to that is I also want to give credit to Bitsy Tulloch, who plays Lois. Lois Lane was introduced last year during the crossover event Elseworlds, and this is the first time we got to see the Lois Lane of the Arrowverse, and she fit the role well too.
Ass
Yeah,
too.
she was like, I was like, she wasn't in that many scenes. It was like, yeah, no, you got it. You're Lois Lane. I'll fucking buy it. I'll buy that ticket.
She nailed it.
Yeah, and her and Tyler Hoechlin apparently have had. I thought they had really good chemistry in the few scenes they had together. So I'm really excited. Now, as according to the article said, that the show is going to be about them being parents because as was also established in the Elseworlds crossover, Lois is pregnant, and they went off-world while she was pregnant because if they're away from Earth's sun, then the baby won't have super strength and accidentally kick through Lois's stomach.
Which is what a fucking horrifying thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Now, one of the things that pissed me off about that when they said, okay, we're going to go off planet, like, okay, you guys are going to be gone for 9 months. This will be a decent excuse why Superman doesn't keep popping up in Supergirl and helping her out because it's her show, got to maintain the focus. But that same crossover event, they said, even after the kid's born, we might just be away for a few years. And I'm just like, what? Okay, this seems like an unnecessary excuse. And he said in the crossover event, the reason why they're going to stay away is because as long as the world has Supergirl, it doesn't need Superman. Well, that pissed off a lot of fans that they would say that. Now, here's the thing. I could accept that if it wasn't for the fact in the past 3 seasons they had to stop 3 separate alien invasions of Earth. So I'm sorry.
Seem excessive.
Yeah. All hands on deck, motherfucker. Until
you might need a couple more super people.
Yeah, until we get let's go a couple seasons before Superman can maybe like hang up the cape. I don't know. But like once again, that's one thing where it seems like they're using Superman to hoist up Supergirl when you don't. Her show's doing very well as is. There's a large fan base behind it. I know a lot of people don't like the show. I think the show. I've been kind of
fine.
It's fine, and as I said,
it's fine.
Yeah, yeah. And once again, I hate to say that because I like Melissa Benoist as Supergirl, and I like a lot of the other cast members. It's just like the show's always kind of been kind of meh with me.
Yeah, the Brainiac 5 character is really fun. Wen's really fun, but like some of the writing and some of the way that they do like social issues is so ham-fisted and so heavy-handed. Where you're like, we get it. You guys are all super fucking liberal. Like, we get it.
Krish just gets right into it. He just gets right into it.
It's just like, Jesus, my God. Like, how much, like, the last season, it was just like, this is, like, they might as well have just been like, this is an allegory for the immigration problem. Look at the cages we have for the aliens. You guys get it?
Get it?
Cages for aliens?
Which
Because they're illegal alien. You guys get it? It's like, oh my God, yes. Can we move the plot forward? It's been 48 minutes.
yeah, and here's the thing: like, I don't mind TV shows, especially science fiction, because I think science fiction is a great way to do.
A political agenda?
Not a political agenda,
political
but
statement.
I've seen it a lot in a lot of sci-fi. Like,
Yeah,
did
yeah,
You guys
it-
watch the Twilight, the Jordan Peele's Twilight? came out
I
this
no,
season?
I haven't. But
No.
I'll say this: I grew
Very
up
good.
watching Star Trek. Star Trek, a lot of episodes of
Yeah.
Star Trek were morality tales where they tackled social issues. I still remember the episode from Star Trek Next Generation where it was the gay episode.
Yes.
Yeah, but it wasn't the whole season. Wasn't the gay season? Like they it wasn't. And it was a cool episode.
It was a great episode.
They go to this planet where they find this species that's trying to like. This new species that's like working with the Federation, but the species has totally eliminated gender. They think gender is an obsolete thing. Everybody's completely gender neutral. People don't even have sex to have babies. People are just grown in machines. You can take a DNA sample and they grow you in a machine. But on the planet, there are some people who are coming out as one gender or the other, and it's an allegory for people coming out of the closet, and that was handled well. And that's the thing. So I don't mind social issues like this, even political ones, to be brought up in shows, because I think science fiction is a great way to reframe things and help put it in a different perspective. But as Krish said, they hand-fist a lot of things in Supergirl, and that turns me off. Like last season was very hand-fisted.
Yeah.
And once again,
Yeah.
I hate to say that because love superheroes, love Melissa Benoist. The cast is, got a lot of good cast in there. Tyler Lay, who plays Alex, Supergirl's sister, she's had a lot of interesting character arcs over her course, including her, coincidentally coming out as gay and all that stuff. So,
And I felt like they did that aspect of it, like they did like pretty well.
yeah.
Right? Like her whole coming out thing, I was like, oh, this is like really well done, and it's not overplayed. Like we're not just like jamming. It's like did you get it? Because she's a lesbian. Did you guys? Are we all aware of how lesbian she is? It's just like it's just part of her character, and we like proceed with the arc, and then all the relationship struggles that she has are just like human, like relationship, like what you're supposed to treat people like. But it was just like that was my biggest complaint with it is Arrow did a whole episode, and they've always kind of had the debate of like, guns.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
a bunch of the superheroes are just shooting up places all the time, and it's like
Because on Arrow, they frame it as they're not superheroes; they're vigilantes.
Right.
They're vigilantes.
so. But like they did a really well,
with guns.
like articulated and well nuanced way to deal with the gun debate. I just wish the writers would be like, you can do social issues, but you just don't have to keep jamming it down our throats.
Yeah, a little too
Like
much.
we're gonna get it.
The
you know?
Supergirl gun episode wasn't that good. It was, and
it's not.
and that's not me taking a side or saying what my viewpoint is. I'm just saying they did not even really examine all the avenues. The whole from the very start of the episode, the it's not even really questioned. It's just guns are bad. Get rid of them. And if you have that viewpoint, that's not what I'm talking about. I want well written. If the show
But
comes
there's
to
also aliens that
Yes.
exist in this
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, I mean,
that
I could
have
go over
lasers.
I could go over all the problems with the episode because it's
A
just
bad alien.
Depends on what this alien wants from me.
Yeah.
He wants to rape you.
Well, then I'm gonna, out of self-defense.
I'm
Out of self-defense.
gonna put my egg in your chest.
Oh man. Oh, it's
Oh,
one
no,
of
he's
those
got a
kind
gun.
of aliens.
Yeah.
Oh man. Ugh.
Oh
Gross.
yeah.
Probio.
But anyway, so I'm excited about this upcoming Superman show. At least I hope it is, because like I said, the Arrowverse has had its ups and downs with most of its shows. Arrow's in its last season. So far, the current season, Arrow's doing very well. Last couple seasons weren't that great. Flash, same problem last couple seasons, but the current season of Flash so far is going really well. I'm having a good time watching it. So I'm hoping they put their all into this and make it great, because it could be interesting. Because like I said, the plot is them being parents and also being working and being superhero stuff, which was supposed to be the next season of the Adventures of Lois and Clark, the Dean Cain Superman show.
Oh, was it really?
Yeah, because the show ends with them getting a baby on their doorstep, and Dean Cain has said in interviews the next season was supposed to be about them being parents.
Wait, that's how the show ends? I didn't realize that's how the show ends.
Yeah. That's how, because I think they were expecting to get one more season at least, but they got canceled. So
Wow.
this is kind of like, now I'm sure it wasn't like, I don't know whether that was the inspiration for it or that's how they were thinking, because a lot of fans have been calling for Tyler Hoechlin to get his own Superman show for a long time now.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it was something they were mulling over for a long time, and they were just like, well, what if we're gonna do what are we gonna do with it? Because in the comics, that's going on in the comics right now. Superman and Lois being parents.
Yeah.
With the newest version of Superboy, Jonathan Kent.
Jonathan Kent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even though there's still another Superboy out there, he's just like the Superboy 2 or whatever. But,
Yeah, there's Connor Kent Superboy, and then there's Superboy Prime, who's just kind of like a murderous psychopath.
Oh god, we could go. We
Yeah,
go. We do a whole episode.
We don't
on
need to
Superboy
go
Prime.
into. We don't need to go into Crisis on Infinite Earths, the comic book version.
Yeah, because we got the actual, we got the TV Crisis on Infinite coming up. But anyway, I'm excited, a little cautious, but overall, I'm just happy that Tyler Hoechlin and once again, Bissy Tulloch are going to get their own show. Because once again, I like Tyler Hoechlin, I like Bitsy. I think that they're. I'm really excited to see where the show is going to go, and don't fuck it up. Just don't fuck it. There's my caution. Yeah. But anyway, we're going to move on to our next subject, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about Star Wars and Game of Thrones all in one conversation.
How
How many nerds' head just exploded
I know.
listening to that?
We're not going to spend
sentence.
much time on it because I want to save a lot of time for a movie review tonight. But according to an article on IndieWire.com, Game of Thrones creators David Benioff and D.B. Weiss have stepped away from the Star Wars franchise after being attached for more than a year to develop a new trilogy of films beyond the Skywalker saga. In a statement from the two, we love Star Wars. When George Lucas built it, he built us too. Getting to talk about Star Wars with him and the current Star Wars team was a thrill of a lifetime, and we will always be indebted to the saga that changed everything. There are only so many hours in a day, and we felt we could not do justice to both Star Wars and our Netflix projects. So we are regretfully stepping away. Okay, so these two guys are like super famous because of Game of Thrones. They put it together. They didn't do the books. Obviously, that's George R.R. Martin, but they put the show together, and that show's won so many awards and stuff like that. These guys are on top, where basically they could get whatever gig they want. And over a year ago, as the article said, they were talking with Disney because Disney needs some help with Star Wars after the problems with The Last Jedi. And they're like, we got the Game of Thrones guys. We're going to bring them in. Now, now the word is from them is the reason why they stepped down. They said because they also have things going on with Netflix. Netflix apparently gave them, I've heard anywhere from $100 million to $200 million to develop content for Netflix, shows, movies, whatever. And they said... And now they signed a Disney contract over a year ago. They signed a Netflix contract, from what I understand, sometime in August. And that's what's going on. They said, we just don't have time to do both, which sounds really weird to me. Because it's like, wait, you signed a contract with Lucasfilm, who's run by Disney. Yeah. You signed something with Disney, you just don't step away from it. So it doesn't make sense.
They won't let you.
Yeah, so
They'll
it doesn't
let you
make...
be strangled.
Exactly, right?
They'll break your legs.
Yeah.
They're Disney.
Yeah.
They own you. Once you sign that contract, they legally own you.
Yeah, you wake up in your bed one morning, you're strapped down, and they go,
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse with a sledgehammer breaks your fucking legs.
Yeah.
So it doesn't.
It's this misery, but the Disney version of it.
Yeah, misery. So it doesn't make any sense because more information from the article says, as of October 25th, Disney had staked out release dates for untitled Star Wars films in 2022, 2024, and 2026. In an earnings call earlier this year, just before the Game of Thrones finale, CEO Bob Iger said that those dates were for Benioff and Weiss's trilogy. And a lot of people, like I said, it doesn't make sense, and a lot of people are calling bullshit too. One of the rumors is that the reason why they stepped down is because as I'm sure you guys know, the Game of Thrones. I didn't watch Game of Thrones. Gonna be honest about it.
I never got into it.
Oh my gosh, are there 3 people in one room that never saw Game?
Oh my God, we are the Trinity.
This is it. This is
Bang
it.
the
you
gavel,
guys.
that's what it is.
We're the Triforce
that's
of
what it's for.
Yes.
Here we go.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Fuck Game of Thrones. No, I'm just
Trinity
kidding.
unite.
I just don't have HBO, so I never got
Just a
around to
bunch
watch
of
it.
people that like heard what the Red Wedding was, and they was like, "What the fuck is happening on this show? This show sounds dumb."
So the rumor was that because of all the toxic fan backlash they got because of the way Game of Thrones ended,
I know about that.
Yeah,
I do know
that-
people
I do know
were
about that too,
upset.
yeah.
that they
Yeah.
stepped down because they were afraid of more toxic backlash from the Star Wars community, and that is pretty prevalent in the Star Wars community. I'm not going to deny that. But that still doesn't make sense because they signed a contract with Disney. And I don't care what is, that's not it. Now, the latest rumor, which is what does make sense to me, was remember, they signed the contract with Disney a year ago, at least a year ago, and then this past August, they signed a contract with Netflix. The actual word is that Kathleen Kennedy, the head of Lucasfilm, did not like that. The rumor is that she was under the understanding that these two men would be committed to Star Wars for a while before taking on any other projects. And the fact that they took on projects for Netflix, which will soon be a competitor to Disney streaming service Disney Plus, irritated Kathleen Kennedy and the Disney people, which makes
she
a
fucking
lot of
shit
sense.
canned 'em.
Star Wars is in a very uneven place. We were talking about this last week when we were reviewing the final trailer, that the episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, needs to be a win for Star Wars because it's in a weird, wonky place right now because of the last couple movies. And the fact that and if I was Kathleen Kennedy and I you would think that I'd be pretty upset too. It's like, no, I need you guys your full attention on Star Wars. I thought we had this understanding. Now, whether this is a failure on Kathleen Kennedy's part to communicate this or Benioff and Weiss were just like, fuck it, I don't know. Or maybe they thought they could juggle it all and they didn't think it was going to be a problem. But it just makes Kathleen Kennedy, once again, not look that great because she's been having a lot of struggles running Lucasfilm. Krish, what do you got to say on this?
I think Star Wars is a struggling franchise. Like, they've been struggling since Last Jedi. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like everybody was, like, kind of okay with A Force Awakens, and then they were like, okay, we get it. This guy's, like, living out his New Hope fantasies, just like he did with the Star Trek franchise, right? J.J. Abrams was basically like, hey, I want to make a New Hope, but, like, different, and that's what he did. And then, like, we got Last Jedi, which was fun. Like, it was a decent movie. I enjoyed it. There were a couple problems I had with it, but I feel like it's in this weird phase as a franchise where, like, it hasn't really had this big pop-off moment that I think everybody thought it was going to have, because Solo didn't really do that great. Like, Solo had, like, a couple of cool scenes, and at the end, your spoilers, is like, oh, they're connected to Darth Maul. Okay, that's cool, but there's like no, but that's the thing is, like, but the payoff is so it's kind of weak because you're like, well, he's fucking dead, right? Like Rebels kind of solidified that. So there's nothing really like hooking people into it. You created this universe, you created the MCU, which hooked people basically every single movie, right? And like, the movies in it, like, some of the movies didn't even have to be that good. You know, like Thor Dark World, I still went to see that in theaters. You know? Like, people are still going to go see even the worst MCU movie and be like, okay, well, that was fun. But I feel like Star Wars is at that place where people are literally like, hey, if this movie doesn't do well, we're fucking done with this franchise. And that's like a real scary place for people
I'd
to
back
be
off
in.
too. I would be like, I don't think I want to touch this.
Yeah.
Y'all can fuck it up. I don't want my name attached to it.
Well, that's the thing is, it's so much pressure to just say that this is the only project that you'll be working on for what, 6 years now? Like, that's a long time to be dedicated to, like, create this franchise. And I think what this what's her name?
Kathleen Kennedy.
Kathleen Kennedy might have wanted these guys to do is to kind of create an MCU version of Star Wars based on all the stuff that they have. And they also have, like, Game of Thrones background, right? So it's all this, like, fantasy realm stuff. And for me as a Star Wars fan, I've always been like, why are we not doing a movie that that's all about, like, the Jedi and Sith mythos?
Okay.
Like, there's a lot of that you can kind of grab from. Like,
that,
why not bring that into canon? And I bet you, like, this lady was like, oh, they have a fantasy background, they can probably do that. But I don't blame them for backing down. I don't blame them for saying that I'm 6 years of my life dedicated to this one thing. You just got off a show where you dedicated a decade of your life to. Go work on some weird shit. I don't like, that's fine. I feel like these guys made a good. Yeah,
Well,
I feel like they made a good call for their own career, and I feel like I don't know. You got to find somebody that's way more dedicated to the Star Wars franchise to like really spearhead it the way that I think Kathleen Kennedy wants to spearhead it.
I think what really went down, because Kathleen Kennedy's had a lot of problems with directors coming in and doing stuff. Colin Trevorrow, who did Jurassic World, was supposed to do a movie, but then he dropped out due to creative differences. Lord and Miller, who did the Lego movie, were the original directors for the Solo film, and they filmed most of it, but then Kathleen Kennedy found out that they were not making the movie that they had agreed upon, so they were kicked out, and then they brought in Ron Howard to finish the film and do reshoots and all that stuff.
Oh, Jesus.
Which, despite that, I think Solo still turned out pretty well. It has its problems, but it was entertaining.
Yeah.
I just wonder, like, these guys commit suicide after breaking a contract with Disney. Can we be the ones to be like, I fucking told you?
A year from now, no one's gonna give a shit about Epstein. It's gonna be
Benioff
and Weiss.
Yeah.
R.I.P.
The Force will be with you always.
Yeah.
And Benioff and Weiss didn't commit suicide.
And then in 2026, they come back as Force ghosts.
We CGI them in just to put salt in the wound. But here's the thing I'll say. I'll talk about Kathleen Kennedy. Now, the reason why a lot of people have been hating Kathleen Kennedy for a while now, they're blaming her for everything that's going wrong with Lucasfilm and the Star Wars movies and all that stuff. The reason why she got head of Lucasfilm is because Kathleen Kennedy worked for decades with George Lucas and Steven Spielberg. She was highly respected by both of them as a producer, because that's what her thing was. And to give her some credits here, she has been a producer on such movies, and I'm not listing them all because she has a long resume of producing credits. E.T., Poltergeist, The Goonies, Temple of Doom, Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, The Sixth Sense, and the list goes on, ladies and gentlemen. She was highly respected in Hollywood for as being a producer. Spielberg loved her. I think he said she was either one of the best or the best producers he's ever worked with.
Damn.
So as producer, this woman is a fucking fourth-degree black belt. And the reason why she was put in charge ahead of Lucasfilm is because George Lucas made her so right before he finished a deal to sell Lucasfilm to Disney. We can assume maybe that because he trusted her so much, he wanted her in charge of Lucasfilm while under Disney control. And unfortunately, I think she needs to go back to producing, because too many problems have popped up with Star Wars and Lucasfilm in general. I'm sure she's a very intelligent woman. I'm sure she's hardworking. I'm sure she has great ideas as a producer, but so far I'm just not seeing this. I mean, hopefully Episode 9 will be a win. Hopefully the new Star Wars show, The Mandalorian, which has a lot of positive hype going into it right now, that will be good. But I'm starting to think that I don't think she can carry this for much longer, even if the Mandalorian and Episode 9 are wins. So
Mandalorian looks dope.
Yeah, it does look cool.
I want to see Mandalorian real fucking bad. It sucks that they have me sold on this Disney Plus thing to the point where I'm like, oh, I gotta figure out how to get Hulu.
Yeah.
I'm not. Oh, thank you.
Well, if you get the big if you get the $13 package, you get Disney Plus and Hulu.
I know.
Yeah.
that's where Liz and I are basically, my wife and I are we're just like, oh, should we just do it? Should we just pay $13 a month for this entertainment package?
Do it.
Yeah, I know. Why? I want to, because it's just it's all the things that we enjoy watching together.
We'll split it.
We'll
do a three-way split.
We'll get a split down the middle.
But anyway, so that's so Star Wars, once again, problems popping up. It doesn't, and it's kind of feeling kind of normal at this point. I got to be honest. But
I am excited for Kenobi though.
Yeah,
that'll be nice.
I'll be more excited once I get some details on it. I'll say that.
Good point.
But for now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get to our movie review tonight. Terminator: Dark Fate.
Gung.
Yeah.
Gung.
This movie is directed by Tim Miller, who directed the first Deadpool movie, and it stars Linda Hamilton returning for the first time in years as Sarah Connor, Arnold Schwarzenegger as a T-800 Terminator, Mackenzie Davis as Grace, and Natalie Reyes as Danny Ramos, and finally, where is it? Yeah. Wait, did they screw up the thing here? I'm looking at IMDb. They don't even. Okay, so I gotta look up, and then the evil Terminator classified as a Rev 9 series. I always say that when they screw up it here on IMDb, but he was the guy who played Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's who that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I was watching that whole movie and I was like, why do I know this dude? Why do I know this dude? Oh man, he's fantastic. I really like.
Oh yeah, no, he's a good actor. He was supposed to get his own ghostwriter show on Hulu, but it got dropped. Yeah,
Man,
look
that
at
guy plays a lot of skull-based characters.
Fire skulls, metal skulls, whatever. He's just really into skulls.
He's just like a big skull guy. Like he's big on skull and bones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so weird that they didn't put his. Is it Fernando? Hold on, go back up.
No, I don't think.
Is it?
No. They would have his picture. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
IMDb, y'all dropped the ball.
Yeah, where is he? He's probably gonna be all the way at the fucking bottom. Where the?
There he is.
He's in
Gabriel Luna.
Yeah,
That's Gabriel Luna.
Gabriel Luna, the Rev 9 model, and he's already down at the bottom list in the rest of cast listed alphabetically. This is where you put like
he's he's
like there
equally
with the
in
crew.
movie.
why is he listed down here? Yeah, he's like down in like the extras where you put like extras and stuff or like minor minor of minor characters. Yeah.
School kid,
God damn it.
Mexican
A
guy.
little more respect for Gabriel Luna. God damn
right?
it.
Like he's fucking great.
Yeah.
Lady.
Yeah. But anyway, so hashtag justice for Gabriel, God damn it.
Fix yourself, IMDb.
Yeah.
You fix your shit.
Get it together.
Yes. So the basic plot of the movie is a young Mexican woman named Danny is being hunted by a new model of Terminator called the Rev 9. She is rescued by a woman named Grace who's part human, part robot. And on their journey, they are joined by Sarah Connor and a new Arnold Schwarzenegger-style Terminator. And it's a Terminator movie. There's not much plot. They're on the run from a Terminator. Of course, this one is more powerful than all the previous models, so I'm sure there'll be some debate because the last two movies before this had well, not Salvation, but anyway, we've had some pretty powerful. not Salvation.
Salvation had a bunch of pussy robots.
That's right.
They didn't do shit.
Yeah. We got shit. I don't care. We got killed by a bullet. Oh my god, what a pussy Terminator.
But there was one where didn't one of the Sam Worthington or Christian Bale ride a Terminator's motorcycle?
Yeah,
at one point?
apparently in the war there's Terminator motorcycles, and Christian Bale hacked one and rode it. Because he's John Connor, he can get away with it. But anyway,
what are you? You're not even a robot.
Yeah. So let's get into this. We'll start off this. Krish, without going into details, initial thoughts.
I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was fun. It's what a Terminator movie is supposed to be.
Right.
Right. It's like what I kind of remember. T2 when I first watched Judgment Day. You get introduced to the main character, you figure out who they are, and then this Terminator thing comes in real quick, and there's a bunch of action sequences, and then there's a bunch of exposition, then there's a bunch more action sequences, and they figure a bunch of stuff out, and then it's the ultimate big battle where it's this is the do or die situation. And it was just fun. I felt like the stakes were high. There's one scene that made me very uncomfortable. We'll get to that. Yeah, but Linda Hamilton was fucking great. Oh man, that lady is awesome. And they gave her some awesome lines, and just dealing with the emotion of all of the shit that she has been through, since Judgment Day.
Yeah.
I felt like they gave her character, they really did justice for her character.
Oh yeah, totally. I gotta say, and I'm gonna say it right now. Linda Hamilton and Sarah Connor in this movie, I think she was my favorite character in the film.
Yeah, I will say I was not a big fan of Grace throughout most of the movie.
Yeah, Mackenzie Davis, who is an actress who's probably best known for the TV show *Halt and Catch Fire*, but she's also been in The Martian and Blade Runner 2049, which I love. Blade Runner 2049. She plays a minor character in both films, but she has a few moments where she gets to show her stuff. She's one of those up and coming young actors in Hollywood. And I'm hoping more for herself because I think she's actually a decent actor, but I don't think Grace. Grace isn't a horrible character, but
she's just not written very well.
Yeah,
she's kind of bratty.
She's supposed to be like the Kyle Reese of this new.
Is
soft,
she?
Kind of. That's the role she's filling. She's the one sent back in time to protect Danny from the Terminator that's trying to kill her. So she's supposed to be the Kyle Reese. And as we said, she's augmented in the movie. She's human, but she's been augmented with cybernetics, robotics. Yes. So she's got super strength, pretty agile, fast. She's also got like her vision. She can detect stuff, and she can see far away and all that stuff. So she's like a new version of the soldiers in the future war. So it's nice. It's nice to have a human who's like boost that. But beyond that, that's just kind of her character. It's just her role. She's to protect her. She's supposed to protect Danny, but she's never. I mean, they have a couple moments where they get into her backstory and she kind of pours her heart out. But I never really got behind her character. I just don't think I can. It's not there.
She was like mean to Sarah Connor a bunch. Like through the whole movie, she's just like kind of mean to Sarah Connor, and then she's like, "You have to your life doesn't matter." It's just like, don't say it like that.
Yeah.
Like I think she gets it, but like you don't have to just say it like that.
Arnold Schwarzenegger once again is in this film. He is once again playing a T-800 Terminator, aka Cyberdyne Model 101. I can't give away spoilers as to why he's once again why another Arnold Terminator is in this movie. We'll get that into the spoiler section. But once again, he does the Terminator role well as only he can. And once again, he's one of the more likable characters. And I hate to say that, but for me, the two most likable characters in the movie are the previous actors in their roles. And I hate to say that because they really needed to sell. And we'll get into it. So Natalie Reyes, who plays Danny, who's now the new human character that must be protected because she's important for some reason. Once again, we'll get into spoilers on that. She's important to the future of mankind in the battle against the machines. And I don't know, Krish, what did you feel about? How did you feel about Danny?
I felt like her progression was really, really fast.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it, but at the same time, I'm like, man, things just kind of ramped up real fast. I don't know if that was the same case for Sarah Connor in the original Terminator.
And I don't remember. I mean, it's been a few years since I've watched the original, but
yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, I mean, because when we meet her when we see her again in Terminator 2. She's buff, she's ready, she's had training. Yeah, because we've had several years in between movies where, it's indicated that she took her time, she learned her shit so she could teach John to prepare him for the war.
To prepare him for taking care. Yeah. So but with her, it's just like some of the things that they do in terms of like how they prepare her for things, and some of like her character progression just sort of happens in like a snap of a finger.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, okay, she's now doing this thing that is, and it's like, oh, what? From where? I thought she was just like this working class like Mexican lady.
Yeah.
That
she's it's not like she's John Wick by the end of the film, but she, apparently just one quick little training lesson and she gets pretty good with a gun.
Yeah, like she's like pretty great with like she's super comfortable firing weapons. All of a sudden, like all of a sudden, like she's not scared of Terminators.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck happened?
They needed a scene where she's like holding like a large gun and even like a big strong person, like, and then the kickback takes her by surprise and she like almost falls backwards because of the kick from the gun. I think a scene like that would have been nice. But yeah, so and finally, let's round out the main cast. Let's talk about #Justice for Gabriel. Gabriel Luna as the new Super Terminator, aka the Rev 9. What did you think of our villain?
Oh man, this is like the most terrifying one yet. I think it's like the mix of the original T-800 and then the T-1000? Is that the second Judgment Day Terminator?
Yeah, he's like a better version of the T-X from Terminator 3, which was robot skeleton but had the liquid metal over it. Except with this one, he can separate the liquid metal from the body and have two separate units.
Yeah, that was fucking terrifying.
Yeah, that was good. I liked him, and in the moments where, much like the T-1000 from Terminator 2, his model is programmed with somewhat of a personality, and that makes nice little moments where it makes him a little more terrifying, where he's acting human, but underneath is just cold, hard steel.
Yeah, so, man, the way that he gets into places and the way that he, like, manipulates people and, like, makes jokes with them and shit like that, like, oof, it's fucking, the way he played the character, because, like, most of the thing is, like, the thing with the Terminators is, I don't even remember in T2, like, the T-1000 didn't have that many lines.
Yeah, but he made an impression on you with the few lines he did. Robert Patrick as a T-1000 kicked fucking ass.
Yeah, like I still remember some of those crazy scenes of him like forming back up and shit like that.
Yeah.
Oh man, it was
Oh, yeah.
nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He
I
plays-
definitely think like there's that aspect of it in terms of like it does evoke that same sort of like holy shit, how do you defeat something like this liquid metal thing? Like what the how are you supposed to beat something
'cause
like this? Like it does.
Yeah, because the original Terminator, the T-800, the Arnold one, bulletproof but not explosive proof. If you could like get a decent enough bomb, you could destroy him, which is how they damaged him in the first film. But this is different. This is different, because he's you see in the trailer they hit him with like Sarah Connor hits him with like a bazooka or something, and he just keeps coming. Like he's like beyond bulletproof. I don't know, but yeah. So I like Gabriel Luna as the new villain. I think it was well casted, and special effects were pretty good in this movie.
Special effects were great.
Yeah, I think there was only one or two times where I was like, but overall special effects were pretty solid. Action, overall I like the action. I think we've seen better in the series, but I will say I think we've seen better in the series because just James Cameron it's James Cameron. He knows how to do fucking
he knows
action.
What he's doing.
But yeah, I think
feel like for some people in our movie theater there wasn't enough action because there was somebody that was very audibly sleeping during the movie.
You're kidding me.
No, they snored. I could hear it, man.
Like real loud.
Especially the moments where it's like the snoring came at the worst time, like to have a quiet moment where the characters are like talking to each other and you just hear it snoring in the background. Like, oh no, you're sad because of all the Terminators killed your family. Oh no. Like, yeah, because it's like it was like oddly well timed for a comedic hit.
Yeah, it was
Maybe they
just
were doing
too
it on
funny.
purpose. Maybe
Okay.
it was Sean Collier.
No, they were like out though. Like they were out for like a lot of the movie, which I was kind of upset about because I was just like, yo, why are you fucking here?
Yeah.
Like, what did you just pay $11 to like
popcorn?
take a
Yeah.
4-hour nap? Like, what the fuck? What did you do that?
Yeah.
Expensive man.
As someone who used to work in a movie theater, when you have to wake somebody up because they're snoring so loud,
Oh man.
oh my god! Most of the time they react so horribly. They wake up and it's like,
What?
They just like, hey man, leave me alone or something, and they act like I'm like, sir, I'm sorry, we're gonna have to foreclose on your house. It's like, oh well, they have that kind of response. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but when somebody wakes you up, you're like, where am I? What year is it? Who's president? And if you're in a movie theater, I'm not
All
gonna
right,
be thrilled.
you make a good point, Sandy.
That's a fair
I would allow, I
is a
will,
fair
I will,
point.
I will.
Yeah,
I will
especially with
concede that,
White Claw
but I will
standing
still
over
hold
you
on to my
like,
head.
"Yo, dude, get out of here."
My claw, about to get cut, motherfucker. Wake up. Anyway, all right.
Black Panther 3.
yeah.
Black Panther versus White Claw.
Oh no! What's up, Marvel?
Oh no.
That's what I said when we first talked
The
about this shit.
antihero,
Yeah. But anyway, Chris, you ready to get into spoilers?
Let's do spoilers, man.
All right, put up the spoiler warning, Serenity.
It's up.
All right,
Here
for those of you,
come the spoilers.
for those of you who are listening on the River's Edge SoundCloud page, we are getting into spoilers. You have been warned. Let's get into it. Let's get into the biggest spoiler of the movie, a scene that is gonna piss off a lot of fans.
Dude, so many people are going to be real upset about it.
So let's set the scene. So it's basically the first scene in the movie. We now see it's in the 90s, Sarah Connor and John Connor. It's 1 year after the events of Terminator 2. They're now on some sunny beach in another country, enjoying life, no longer having to fear Judgment Day because
I'd like to think they're in Costa Rica.
Costa Rica?
Yeah, it's because it's like real
Costa-
cheap
wait, yeah,
to
Costa
live
Rica?
there. Costa Rica.
Costa Rica?
Costa Rica.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard. Oh,
It's
no.
like real cheap to live there, and a bunch of Americans apparently retire there and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it seems like a nice place to go if you've been chased by terrible skull-faced robots.
Yeah, but anyway, so now I think in this scene is where the special effects are at their best because they have to de-age Linda Hamilton and show like a younger Edward Furlong, and it is at the level of Marvel's de-aging technology. It looks great. Like Linda,
they did awesome.
I could not
They
see
did
the
awesome.
imperfections at all. So they're having drinks. They're just having fun and relaxing now that they believe that the war of the machines is no longer going to happen. They don't have to worry about Skynet or anything. And then just walking up to like the little beach cabana bar is an Arnold Terminator, and he literally shoots John Connor in the chest and kills John Connor.
30 fucking
How
seconds
far-
into the
I was just
movie.
gonna say,
Yeah,
how
it's
far
like
in?
just like 2 minutes at most.
Oh,
It's like not even that in. Like you're just like settling in. You're like, oh man, this is great.
Yeah.
This is nice.
So
You know, you
and
got
a lot of fans
drink.
have been asking, like, because like they said that Edward Furlong was coming back to play John Connor for this film, but he wasn't in any of the trailers, and people are like, why aren't we seeing him in the trailers? And that's it. They literally begin the film by killing John Connor, the savior of humanity, the leader of the resistance. And that is going to piss off so many fans. I mean, I'm sure if I were to check online right now, for anybody who may have seen an early screening or something, like a screening like before the one, like a week ago or something, I know a lot of fans are going to be pissed about that, because that's a problem with a lot of fans had with the last movie, Terminator Genesis, in which that movie, John Connor is captured by the robots, by the machines, I should say, and he is converted into a new super Terminator, and he is the villain of the film, which admittedly, I think that's an interesting thing. You turn humanity's greatest savior into now its greatest threat. But the problem was they kill him off at the end of the film, which pissed off a lot of fans, and it kind of irritated. I didn't like it either. I don't know if it pissed me off, but I was expecting them to either figure out a way to turn him back into a human, or if they can't turn him into a human, at least reprogram him so he's now in control of himself and he's not evil anymore. But they didn't do that. They killed him off, and that angered a lot of fans. And no doubt, there's going to be a ton of fans who are going to piss off that they not only just kill him off, but kill him off in the first 2 minutes just to set up the new hero.
Yeah.
And I'm just
that was. I was like, oh shit, that's crazy. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah,
Were you guys angry, or were you just shocked?
Yeah, how do you feel about it?
I was a little surprised about it. I wasn't really upset, but I was just like, well, I guess they just straight up retconned both Salvation and Genesis, which means that none of us have to write apology letters to Christian Bale anymore.
Oh,
so I feel like
I wasn't gonna do that anyway.
Yeah, I feel like we're in the clear. I feel like everybody's gonna be okay. But I do feel like that's what they were trying to do, and this is kind of James Cameron coming in, and he's just like slamming his dick on the table, and he's like, boom! Y'all remember that hero we set up that you guys can't seem to let go of? That we have to keep making these movies around, and nobody seems to like it because y'all keep fucking it up? Blasted him right in the face.
Yeah.
Bam! Like, James Cameron was like, what are you going to do now? What, are you going to turn this other lady into a Terminator? Fuck you.
I just don't know why. Why James Cameron and Tim? I don't like it. I'm going to say right off the bat.
You didn't like it?
No, I didn't like it.
Oh, man.
Stop fucking with John Connor.
I like the way Krish describes it.
No, he describes it well, but I'm just going to say no. Stop fucking with John Connor. Here's the thing. I don't mind that they've changed, because of time travel, the timeline has changed so much that they've established it's no longer Skynet that takes over the world and builds the Terminators. It's a new system called Legion. Legion that is not a military defense system. It is it's a military cyber war defense system. So
it's like a combat system.
Yeah,
it's a combat AI.
Yeah, combat AI for cyber warfare. They say it's for cyber warfare. And it takes a little bit different route. Instead of nuking humanity like Skynet did, what it does is it just infiltrates all electronics on the Earth, turns basically shuts down. Cell phones, television, radio, whatever humanity uses, like modern technology, shuts it down, and then it lets, without technology, humanity goes into the dark ages, and it lets humanity tear itself apart before we get the new savior of humankind to bring them together to fight against the machine. So it takes
But it's still like hunting them down, though.
Yeah.
Like that. But that's the other thing is it's not just like, well, I'll sit back and watch you assholes kill each other. It's still hunting people down. Yeah. It's letting humanity do its worst, and then it's still killing everybody, which is that's double evil. Yeah. You know?
Yeah. No, and I kind of like that. I like the new strategy. And it doesn't even nuke us. We tried. They say
we tried to nuke
it, and I don't know why. Because they never really established whether it's an actual physical computer or if it's software. Because if it's software, you can't fucking nuke. It's going to be somewhere.
They were going to nuke it with EMPs. To basically disable its connection to everything.
Yeah, and it didn't work. So then it built the Terminators.
Wait a minute. So is that just Ultron?
Yeah, I was about to bring it up. It's basically
just
Ultron.
Kind of Ultron.
It's kind of Ultron.
Right?
It's very Ultron-y. So yeah, we have that, and which I do like. I do like the new. Like, I mean, I'm not bothered that it's not called Skynet anymore because it's basically the same thing. Call it Legion, whatever. I mean, I think Legion is a word that gets used too much in sci-fi and fantasy, but whatever. So I do kind of like that new version of how the war starts and everything like that. I'll give that credit. And let's get into Arnold. So Arnold, his character in the movie is another T-800 model Terminator called Carl. He is the Terminator that shoots and kills John Connor in the very beginning of the film. And we found out through the course of the film that after he shot and killed John Connor, his mission was complete and he no longer had a purpose. And over the years, he developed a personality. He actually got a wife and a son.
Kind of developed a consciousness, is what they said.
Which they kind of indicate that in Terminator 2, that because by the end of the film, he like that model understands the value of human life. So I can see that kind of thing happening. Don't got a problem with that. And over the course of the years, he's been sending Sarah Connor text messages because he was basically a fail-safe Terminator in case the T-1000 in Terminator 2 didn't kill John Connor.
Yeah. So it's like Skynet was building fail-safes, and they kind of explained this because in the beginning of the movie, like that was my first question. Is like, wait a minute, where the fuck did this one come from?
Yeah.
Right. Like, so basically, what they explain is like, oh, there are these temporal anomalies because Skynet just sent a bunch of different Terminators to a bunch of different time points. And every time these temporal anomalies open up, like I know where they go because I'm not technically supposed to be here because I'm from a future that kind of doesn't exist in this time stream.
Yeah, I found that kind of shaky that he could like detect that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That was kind of weird to me, but it's like
it's time we want these stuff, man.
And he he does this because he realized by killing John Connor, he killed Sarah Connor's purpose in life, and he believed by sending her to the coordinates where these other Terminators are going to pop up and killing them would give her purpose again.
That was kind of cool. I was like, oh, that's kind of nice of you that you gave this lady purpose by just murdering robots.
Yeah.
Like that's this lady's purpose.
Yeah. So as time's going, now let's get back to Danny, who in the trailer indicates that Danny will now be the new Sarah Connor, and she will give birth to humanity's next John Connor. And as I said before in previous episodes, I can already see like the memes online of or like, oh, it'll be Guan Connor, but apparently no one's gonna get a chance to be that jackassy and do that because she's not the mother to the savior of humanity. She is gonna be the new savior of humanity.
Oh, twist!
Yeah.
It could only go one of two ways anyway.
Yeah. Which they saved that as a surprise for later, which I don't know why. I just like Grace says, "I'm sorry, I didn't tell you earlier." I'm like, why not tell her?
Oh,
earlier?
because apparently.
Oh, she told. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Future Danny told her not to because she couldn't handle it.
Because she was like, yeah, I was kind of dumb and naive and whatever, and
But
I wouldn't.
But
be
if she
able to
doesn't tell her,
handle
what
it.
if she was like, "Holy crap, I need to give birth to the humanity." To the savior of humanity, and she just went on like a fuck spree and just started fucking guys until she got pregnant. And that would, I'm pretty sure being pregnant would slow you down in the machine apocalypse, having to carry that belly around.
Truth. Yeah. I feel like not a lot of people are fucking in that apocalypse. You know, like I feel like there's robots trying to kill you. Like I'm not going to be able to maintain an erection. You know, that's not going to be.
Definitely. Me neither.
That's not gonna work out for me.
Yeah.
I was telling Vince last week, like, I don't have sex anymore because there's too much stuff to watch. And there's not even apocalypse yet.
Yeah.
It's like apocalypse of content. And I can't keep it up either. I gotta go watch the rest of Big Mouth when I get home.
Season 3 is great.
Oh yeah, they love that show, Sarah. Christian lists, they love it.
But that's the thing is like I don't know why they waited for like virtually till the end of the fucking movie to be like, oh, you're John Connor. And the only thing I can
It's
kind
supposed to be a big reveal.
Yeah, but the only people that it was a big reveal to was Sarah Connor and the T-800, who were like, oh, cool, we get to like protect this version of John again.
Yeah.
And the guy that was asleep, he woke up for that part. He was like, who?
Oh yeah, the guy.
John Connor?
He was like, oh, who's John?
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
I'm going
Is it one?
and then he went back to sleep.
Yeah. So, oh my god, I don't know what is there left. to cover in spoilers here. So
Oh, the ending was kind of interesting. I like
Yeah.
the fight scene that they did
Yeah.
at the end.
Because to beat the Rev 9, it's Arnold. It's I'll call him Carl, the T-800. It's Carl, Sarah Connor, Grace, and Danny versus the Rev 9.
Yeah.
Just to show just how powerful this fucking thing is. It takes a 4-person team
But
to
it's
take
like
it down.
it's because and they almost get it. Like they have this whole insane. The ending fucking fight scene is just. It's just nuts because it involves like a plane and then like another plane crashing into a plane and then them like having this like
There's a Humvee
zero-G
underwater.
Yeah,
Whoa.
that part was the one that I got super fucking like uncomfortable with. Is I just don't like underwater car things.
Yeah.
You know,
It
like
makes me a little anxious.
yeah, that's kind of how I felt about it too. And like the way they did it is, you feel it, like you feel it all the way.
Wow.
And then at the end of it, they have to use the power source. Do we want to reveal the very ending?
Yeah, fuck it. We're in
Okay.
spoilers.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
All right, we're
Yeah.
in
So,
the-
yeah. So
okay.
Grace.
Graphics up,
Grace-
dude. Go for
So
it.
Grace, the cyborg soldier from the future.
Yeah.
She has a power cell in her chest, and the only way they had a plan to kill the Rev 9, which got screwed over in the most. I don't even know why we.
They went into a hydroelectric power plant, which I was like, why wouldn't you just be able to make an EMP from a hydroelectric power
Yeah,
plant?
they
right?
they
Like,
stole a
that's-
military grade weapon from a friend of Sarah Connor, which is an EMP, which stands for electromagnetic pulse. Basically, when that goes off, it disables any electronic device, even a Terminator. But it gets broken, but not.
They get shot.
Yeah, and that's a typical thing in storytelling. You come up with a plan to beat the thing, but then something goes wrong. You have to come up with something else on the spot. But it wasn't on the spot. It was like, all right, we got 10 minutes to figure something else out. It was like,
Yeah, and it was just like,
it needs to
oh.
happen in the middle.
We just landed in a hydroelectric dam. It's like, you really can't fucking come up with an EMP plan from that. Anyway,
The nerdiest conversation. I've
and
ever
I know.
Nerds.
Wow.
I know. So you guys couldn't do but
I just blew out one of the channels.
so yeah, and then they like basically like it's a pretty cool fucking fight scene
Yeah, no, the fight's cool.
between Grace and this was the part where I was just like, cool, like I kind of like Grace in this
Yeah.
moment
Yeah,
where
she's
she's
got the
just
chain.
fucking whipping the chain.
Which is
around.
ironic that she's fighting the guy who played Ghost Rider, whose Ghost Rider's main weapon is a chain, and she's fighting him with a chain. I don't know if that was their intention, like if like enough people know that Gabriel Luna was Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but I just found that interesting.
Dude, oh man, Tim
Very
Miller totally fucking knew that shit.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like Tim Miller was like, "Oh, I'll break the fourth wall in this movie too, but not directly." But they like shove him into this like spinning turbine, and then he like explodes or something explodes, but he's still not dead. So Grace has to take out her power core, and she was like shove it into his eyeball, and it'll like fry his neural net.
Which is how they killed the evil Terminator in Terminator 3. The Arnold Terminator in that one pulls out his power core, shoves it into the bad Terminator, and it explodes. So they kind of reused that, which I mean, there's references to the other movies throughout the film. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
catchphrases and whatnot. But I was like, we did this already. We already did that. You need like.
Well, it's always one of those things is like if you're trying to kind of refresh the whole franchise, you're going to kind of do that sort of stuff, right? Like you're going to kind of recycle some of these
Callbacks.
plots. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to be like, oh, we're doing that thing. Okay, now that
there.
we're
Yeah.
done doing that, let's make some like original storyline, which I don't know, maybe we'll go to like an action adventure, you know, like a fucking gal pal, you know, let's run around the country killing Terminator movie, because at the end of the movie, like Danny's basically like, I'm never gonna let Grace sacrifice herself for me again. And then it's like her and Sarah Connor traveling the country training, I guess. Like it's very unclear what they're doing. Like, but I was like, I'm kind of cool. Like even if this is the end of the, this is the end of the storyline, like I'm pretty cool with the way that this ended. You know,
Okay.
like if this was sort of the button, you know, I'd be cool with it. Kind of like kind of like Judgment Day, because at the end of Judgment Day, I feel like everybody was just like, cool. Like this is a nice way to button up the story.
All right. So, Krish, do you recommend that people go see Terminator Dark Fate? Do you recommend it or not recommend it?
I do recommend it. You should go see it. It's a fun movie. And especially like if you're an old school Terminator fan, I feel like this kind of, it's got the nostalgia element to it, but it's also got some really cool like newer elements to it. Yeah. That's fun. Yeah.
I'm a tad bit torn because this movie has a lot going right for it. Like I said, the action, special effects, Linda Hamilton back as Sarah Connor, Arnold, of course, doing his thing. The new villain, the new evil Terminator, played by Gabriel Luna. I like that. But my problem is our two new heroes in the film, once again, Grace and Danny, I really didn't get much from them. I didn't, they're not horrible characters, but they're just, and especially with, Danny does kind of progress, but she's never like that interesting, or I never really felt for her that much. Even when like her family dies, because we only spend so much time with Danny before the Terminator pops in to fuck shit up. Like I don't feel like we got to know who she really was before the Terminator. And plus, in fact, once again, I'm sorry, maybe I'm fanboying, but I just didn't like how they just offed John Connor like that. I'm sorry, I just didn't.
I think you are fanboying a little
I am
bit.
maybe I am. Maybe I am. I'm just like. It's just like they're beginning the movie with a message. Hey, you like John Connor? Fuck you. We're doing things our way now. Fucker. Ha. 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 So.
Yep. We're here for it.
We love you, buddy. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right.
John.
We got your back.
Yeah.
Okay, so recommendation or not?
Still have the first two movies.
Yeah. No, I'm not one of those guys who's like, this movie killed my childhood. No, I still am going to watch the old movies and enjoy them. I'm not one of those guys. I have a friend who's like
still
that.
gonna play with the toys?
I'm still going to play with the toys. I'll be back. Go bang, 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 bang. Recommendation.
Oh, man, this is real tough.
Yeah, they're all
I've
tough.
never seen this before.
Yeah.
I'm going to
It's like
recommend.
holding on to the...
He needs a cough drop.
I'm gonna recommend it.
Oh.
I'm going to recommend, though, you see it during a matinee showing to save yourself a few bucks. I'll say that. That's how I'll put it.
Okay.
I will put it like that.
Play hooky from work.
Yeah, I'll say this: if they make another one, really develop Danny, really develop her, because she's going to be our new John Connor. Fine, but you got to make me love her as the new savior.
Either that or shoot her in the chest in the first 30 seconds.
There you go.
And that's the only way I'll invest.
And then the new John Connor will be a Japanese woman, and then we'll move on from there. But anyway,
And
all
she's
right, I
got a
think
blade.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the POVincent podcast. If you're watching us on Twitch and you enjoyed the show, please click follow and join us for our next episode. Or if you're watching on YouTube, then subscribe and click the notification bell. Whichever site you're on, we'll have links to our social media down below the video. And once again, thank you to the River's Edge Online Radio Network for hosting this show. Thank you, Sarny, for being my awesome co-host. Thank you, Krish, for coming back once again, for being an awesome guest.
Thanks for having me.
Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed our point of view on things. Take it easy. We'll see you next time.